Hey, welcome. It's Wesley. Thanks for coming. And we're gonna talk about Game 6, and just talk about Game 6. Game 6 against Sixers and Celtics is really it's a game that has bothered me ever since it was over, because the Sixers really had that game. They should have won that game. That game, we shouldn't even be in a Game 7. They did everything that they have to do to put themselves in a situation to win. And at the close to the end, they were winning with 5 minutes left. It's just the offense just went bottoms up. And I hope they learn from these mistakes and be able to not to make them in Game 7. And Joel Embiid is really going to have to show out. Harden is really going to have to show out and put their stamp on the game. It may be a situation where Joel have to drop 50 because we shouldn't be here. And to win 3 times in Boston is asking a lot from a team. So yes, I'm very nervous when it comes to this game. But before we go into talking about that game, just want to talk about some players. Maxey. Tyrese Maxey has to see his career blossom at this young age of 22 it's been a marvel. I've enjoyed it, and it gives me hope in terms of the future of what can happen for the Sixers. And he had a pretty decent game. He shot 9 for 20, 45%, 33% from 3 for 26 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. He, in the first 3 quarters, he was the most consistent person. First, I'd say 3.5 quarters, he was the most consistent person to score. Him and Joel didn't really get going until like the second going into the third quarter. Maxey was the one that was really Boston has come to the realization they have no answers for him. They're putting so much energy into Harden and Embiid. Maxey is the one that really can have an offensive explosion, and I hope that is something that can happen in Game 7. You're trying to keep Harden in check. You're trying to keep Embiid in check. It gives room for Maxey to be able to explode. It also gives room for Tobias to explode, but Tobias has been very iffy in this situation, especially when in Game 6 he was 1 for 7. I mean, in some situations he was missing layups, and when he went up for that weak behind layup and Tatum blocked the shot, you got to go stronger than that. You have to force the ref to sit there and call a foul or something. But back to Maxey, I like the fact that he realized that he had to use a mid-range. What helped him is a lot of times he would blow by somebody and try to get a layup. Boston is too long, and they were able to block his shots. So once he started adding like the mid-range and started adding floaters and stuff like that, and that started to go in, he started to see that go in, everything else opened up. The 3 started to fall. He started to get layup. The layup started to fall. And now Boston really doesn't have an answer for him. At one point he had Marcus Smart on skates. He's one of the fastest men, one of the fastest people on the court. And sometimes I think the Sixers don't take advantage of that enough. Now we're going to go to James Harden. When it comes to James Harden, this game he did not shoot well. He did manage the team in terms of getting the team back and to be able to walk the Celtics down, to be able to take the lead. And he played defense pretty good. He shot 25%, and that's something we can't just, that's not good. That's not good enough. Especially in an elimination game, that's not good at all. You're expecting James Harden at this moment in time to just at least get 20. At least shoot, give me 40%. He shot 25%. Between him and Tobias Harris, if they were able to have a higher percentage, we wouldn't even be in Game 7. So it's like, I'm not, when it comes to Harden, I'm not sure which Harden is going to show up. I'm not sure if it's going to be the Harden in Game 1 and Game 4 that was just unstoppable, that forced the Celtics to play Jaylen Brown on him to slow him down. Or is it going to be this Jalen Harden? Is it going to be this Harden in Games 2 and Games 3 and Game 6 that just struggled? And this is something that we really can't afford. We can't afford, the team struggling in this way. Joe. Joe started off slow. Then he started to come into his own. The one thing I can say that I was not happy about, I just wasn't happy about, there were certain situations that there were situations where they didn't take advantage of Joe's mismatch. And that's the one thing about the Sixers that really gets under my skin. There are too many situations where these are NBA players, and it's amazing how many NBA players do not know how to pass correctly in the post. I mean, it's rather interesting. And this was something before James Harden came here that just got under my skin. There are just a lot of NBA players that do not know how to pass in the post. And I'm like, dog, this is something that you should know how to do, especially when you have a center like Joel Embiid. I think a lot of times Joel Embiid get pushed out of position is because it takes so long for them to sit there and pass the ball to him in the post. By this time, the person behind him is able to sit there and push him back. So he started to get everything. He started to get everything together by like probably say second or third quarter. Everything started to hit for Joe. The fourth quarter, I don't know where he was at. They weren't giving him the ball. Some people who shot the ball shouldn't have shot the ball. And at that time, I'm like this. You're gonna have to live or die with Joe shooting. Although sometimes there are some situations with Joe, I have to say he makes a situation harder than what it should be. There are times when Boston is straight zoning against Joe. When Joe was at the foul line, he got the ball. They're straight zoning. And there have been times that I thought that Joe should have just passed the ball off, moved somewhere else, and then pass it back, and they get it passed back to him. That happened a couple of times, but he doesn't do it enough. And then there's too many times when Joe is trying to dribble between three people, especially guards. Joe can handle for a big man, but guards can't dribble through three people. A 7-footer can't either. And there's times where he gets turnovers when it's not needed for him to have turnovers. With that said, though, he played pretty well. I still wanted to see him come up bigger than he did in Game 6. That was just it got under my skin. That's just something that shouldn't have happened. He should have been able to get the ball, and he should have been able to say, "Look, put it on my back. I'm taking it from here. Ref's gonna have to call foul, or I'm gonna miss, one or the other. I'm not gonna make it easy for y'all." And that's pretty much what he did. And I didn't like when Tatum hit that three. You can see him and Harden basically like they were crushed. And they literally, you can be crushed, but then to show it and just show that display on the court, that bugged me. I mean, it just, it still was time left and you just gave up. I hope this is a lesson learned where in Game 7 he won't make that mistake, or none of them will make that mistake. The defense played well. The defense played damn well. I mean, well enough where both teams were held under 100 points. I mean, in most situations, if the Sixers held a team to 95 points, they will win the game. It's just in this situation, they couldn't score. And that was just it. They just couldn't score. They couldn't get comfortable. They couldn't find a rhythm. And so I don't have too much to say on the defense because the defense held Jaylen Brown to, Jaylen Brown was 6 for 13. He had 17 points. Tatum was 5 for 21. He shot 23% from the field, 36 from 3. Those last few threes would kill the Sixers. And so it was just that. So it's like that's why I can't really get mad at the defense or the way the defense was playing. The defense was playing the way it was supposed to be playing. It's just the offense. They just couldn't do nothing on offense. They picked a bad time to go into a slump. And so the bench, they got 16 from Brogdon, 9 from Derek White. Whereas the Sixers got 6 from Niang. I don't count Jalen. Springer's up was already done. 3 from Daniel House, and Melton gave you nothing. And it's just that right there. It's just that hurt, and it's just the bench has to. The bench played well in defense. It's just in these situations we needed offense. It seemed like we had defense for days. We just ain't have enough offense. In this series, this is a series Melton hasn't shot well. It's not like the Brooklyn series where Melton would get hot and stuff like that. He's pretty much struggled in this series. Niang, he's hit or miss in terms of the series of how he may play and stuff like that. Paul Reed gave some time, but he only took one shot, and so I just don't know in terms of what more the defense could have done. Let's go to Doc. Sometimes I think the problem with Doc is that he stick with something way too long. There was a point when Boston came out with the big lineup, and you saw that they were doubling off of a PJ. My thought process there was immediately get another ball handler on the floor, because if you want to play these games, we'll play these games. Because I'll look at it like, PJ, I love you. This is a situation where I'm gonna have to just hold you out and just force them in a situation where if you want to play this big lineup, okay, fine. Because they had situations when they had either it was Maxey or Melton on the wings and then the corners, and they were able to take advantage of Williams. And once you take advantage of Williams and you get him off the court, because Al Horford can't handle Joel Embiid. I don't care how much people sit there and say nobody can handle Joel Embiid one-on-one. When Al Horford is handling Joel Embiid, he has 2 other individuals around him just in case. That's why I laugh when people sit there and say that Al Horford can handle Joel Embiid. No, he can't. It's not too many players that can handle Joel Embiid one-on-one. And it damn sure is not Horford. Doc made that move, and he was able to get some offense where they were able to close the gap. Like soon when Williams went on off the floor. Well, soon when they put another person in and Williams went off the floor, boom, they were able to just sit there and make that run. To the point that they were able to just keep up with Boston. And once they got the lead, it should have been over. And then this is where Doc's history plays a big important factor. Now the Sixers have the pressure of your coach has a history of losing series when he's led, and this is not a good situation to be in, because now again you have to win 3. So now you have to win 3 games in Boston. That is something that's hard to do. And I know that they've done it twice, but now you have to sit and do it again. And if it's a close game, I'm not sure how the team is going to respond when just knowing that pressure of them having to play that Game 7 in Boston and Doc's history and stuff like that. And because if the Sixers lose this series, heads are going to roll. Game 7 is here. It's just, I thought this would have been over in 6, but I actually thought it would have been my prediction. I thought it was going to be over in 6 with Boston winning. Pleasantly surprised, and I'm happy. Now I want to see them win. I want to see them sit there and exercise that demon. And there are some things that they're going to have to do in order to be able to win this game. James Harden has to shoot better from the field. James Harden has to be in better command of the game. He's going to have to just give. They're going to have to lay it on the line. Joel Embiid is going to have to sit there in the fourth quarter and sit there and say, "No, give me the ball. Y'all either y'all win with me or y'all lose with me." This is all hands on deck. This is not something that we'll be able to say, like, the Sixers are not going to be able to sit there and just sleepwalk through this game. You can't sleepwalk through this game because this game is dangerous. There's a possibility if Boston goes up double digits that they can blow this game out of the water and it'll be over. Doc is going to have to, in terms of, he's going to have a quick hook with people. If they come out with the big lineup, he's going to have to put more ball handlers on the court and make them pay. Make them pay. Maxey is going to have to keep doing what he's doing. James Harden is going to have to shoot better. Tobias is going to have to at least give between 10 to 15 points. Jesus. I ain't even religious. And, yo, they're going to have to do. That's what they're going to have to do. They can't mess around with this. This is the worst case scenario. And now they have to sit there and fight their way through Game 7. We'll just see how this goes.